Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Hi, it's Joyce Keller and Dr. Scott Keller. We're thrilled to be with you today. I do mean it sincerely, and we're live. Today's date. I know a lot of people have forgotten the date because we're home and you don't have the work schedule you normally have. But it is July 15th. Is that correct? 2020. 2020, the year of clear vision. We're seeing things clearly, or hopefully more clearly as we go through this. And the virus is hopefully having its last attack on the earth as we move forward into the fifth dimension and higher, and greater understanding. So, Dr. Scott, are you with us?
I am. It's such a pleasure to be here again, Joyce. Thank you. How's everything going? How are you feeling?
It couldn't be better. I wanted to start with a quote from the great universal teacher Babaji, or Babaji, or however you wish to pronounce it. I choose to pronounce it as Master Babaji. He said, this is important, folks, just listen to this, move forward with the courage of lions. Now, I do a lot of readings, and so do you, Dr. Scott. The primary thrust of the readings has been about depression. People are extremely depressed now. A lot of people are suicidal, and there's no reason for either of those states, because if you're depressed or suicidal, you're going to bring more energy that's negative to you, and you don't want that to happen. The planet as a whole has to move forward with light and with greater understanding. So I wanted to share with you my experience with Dr. Wong, W-O-N-G. And before you all become excited and say, oh, he's Chinese. Yes, he's Chinese. He hardly speaks English. But he has been our family friend, and for our entire lives, as Jack and I were raising Elaine and Scott, our children. So we understand that Oriental, we're not supposed to call it Oriental, Chinese medicine, Korean medicine, has been around 6,000 years or so, versus the AMA, which is about 250. What's that?
No, I was going to say, let's refer to it as traditional Chinese medicine, and all traditional Chinese medicine and traditional Korean medicine is a derivation from what started in ancient India 5,000 to 10,000 years ago. I think traditional Chinese medicine is more like 2,000 to 3,000 years old, or at least historically that's what it's given, is about 3,000 years old.
Well, it doesn't matter because it's old. What I wanted to tell you is in my conversation with Dr. Wong, and he's always there for us, and he will be there for you also. He understands the problem that was created in China and the weight that it's bearing. But he said if he can get past that, he feels that he's doing so much good work. He has so many people coming to him who know what he's capable of doing. He cannot do acupuncture now because it involves too much contact. Heal you. He's having a 100% success rate, as we know he's capable of doing, with people who are coming to him with the virus. And he explained to me that it's very layered, and it may also be bacterial. The problem is, for now, you have to wear masks and keep 6 to 10 feet apart. Now, he's not a person who talks about things recklessly. He's saying it's really important. Now, the masks that you wear are very important because they have to be medical grade. The ones you get at Walmart, like I did, are not going to be as protective. So you do need to get yourself a medical grade mask, and he stressed that, and I agree that he is correct. So now I have to go back and I have to get the right kind of mask, and I suggest you do that also. In addition to keeping 6 to 10 feet until the whole thing is resolved, and it will be, okay? Just stay positive. Now, I called him a second time yesterday to clarify a lot of what he was saying and to make sure his contact information that I'm giving out now was correct, and I heard cups falling, like glass cups. So I said, are you doing cupping? And he said, yes, he was doing cupping. I could hear them falling. So he said, call back 15 minutes. Okay, so I called him back. Now, here's his number. So apparently cupping is okay. We're not even going to go into what that is, but we know that it's great. And it gives huge red marks, but it heals the area that needs to heal. Here's his number, WONG, Dr. Wong. Please write this down, 516-660-1858. That's 516-660-1858. And if you miss it, email me, Joyce Keller, tvradio@gmail.com, or go to my website, joycekeller.com, contact me, and I'll give it to you again. But he said 2 to 3 years, you do have to be careful. Vaccines, he said no. Okay. So he also said one last thing. You're not allowed by law to say Chinese medicine anymore. You can't say traditional Chinese medicine either, which is what he always was. He said the government is clamping down. They don't want people going that route. Okay? So you can't say Chinese medicine. What you can say is Chinese herbal medicine or Chinese herbal supplement would be best. Chinese herbal supplement if you need to find a practitioner near you. But again, Dr. Wong is in New York, 516-660-1858. Okay. I told you the lines are open here. Okay, we have a 970 call coming in. Okay, we have a lot of calls coming in. Give us a call, please, if you'd like to speak with us in the remaining 20 minutes or so we have left. Here's the phone number. Ready? It is 516. I gave you a chance to get your pencil. 666-8448. That's 516-666-8448. This is the kind of show you might want to have a little pad of paper and some note-taking involved. The importance of chlorella, vitamin D. Dr. Scott's going to get into all of that with you, why you should not be vaccinated, and the importance of understanding what Chiron and Mars are actually doing at this time. And Mercury finally went direct, thank God. Okay. Dr. Scott, what's going on?
Thank you for sharing that information about Dr. Wong. Yes, I practiced with Dr. Wong many years ago in Chinatown, and he is, as we refer to in China, a Qigong master who I've referred so many patients to him over the years, people with AIDS and autoimmune system. I know the AMA would be up in arms about, saying that he's had great success with this because they don't want anybody but the AMA taking control over dealing with those things. It's unfortunately it comes down to a matter of money. But yes, we are familiar with his level of expertise and efficiency in dealing with these things. So with that, I want to, segue over to what's going on in the universe. It is an incredibly active and important sky right now. Joy, for the last few months, we've been talking about the importance, and ironic that I should join you as a co-host back about 3 or 4 months ago when this pandemic started, but we've been talking pretty incessantly about the alignment of Saturn and Pluto, Saturn the planet of major restriction and lessons, being in line with Pluto, the planet of death and transformation, and now all 3 of them are aligned. The 2 of them are aligned with the 3rd planet, which is Jupiter, which is adding all this fuel to it. Well, we've been talking pretty nonstop about that. We know that it's time for a change on a grand level, and it's definitely time for the death and rebirth of, the way things used to be into new, more productive aspects of how we deal with life. But this week, one of the more interesting things that's happening is that 2 big players in the area of relationships, and believe me, I am so happy about making a segue with all our clients. And we're here at my center in Fort Lauderdale, and we're doing quite a bit of work with individual readings and people with couples counseling and individual counseling. We want to be reminded that the use of astrology and Ayurveda is designed, number one, for them to be utilized together, but the way the ancients had it designed for us was to be able to use those 2 things as a way of creating abundance and prosperity in our lives in all areas, in health, in love and romance, relationships, career path, and mostly with what you said earlier, people being really sad and depressed and having a rough time in regard to changing our karmic path. Now, let's take a little step backwards and talk about what you just mentioned, which is what's going on with Chiron and Mars. So Mars and Chiron had the audacity this week to join the same configuration, the same conjunction, and they both entered Aries. Now, in simplified astrology, all we have to do is look at what Mars represents and look at what Chiron represents, and like an algebraic equation, just plug in the planet. That's the simple, like, second-grade version of astrology. We know Mars Mars is the god of war, as was signified by the folks in ancient Rome, and its ruling sign, or its sign that it rules, is Aries, also the god of war to the ancient Greeks. It's moving into its home planet, its home sign of Aries. What this is doing to not only the collective, but to those of us who have, like, Aries in key places in our chart, is making us all feel a bit more reactive. Mars is very close, and it's very big, and it's very hot and very angry. So when you put a very hot, angry sign like Aries, potentially you've got an ingredient for a combustible situation. Now, with regard to the conjunction in Chiron, Chiron in ancient Greece was known as the god who was killed by Achilles and was left in a state of remorse and sadness over all its wounds that it had gotten during life. So now we look at Chiron, Chiron's a kind of an interesting astronomical consideration, because unlike all the other planets like Saturn and Jupiter and Neptune, it's not exactly a planet, but this very powerful asteroid-ish like celestial object that's kind of coursing through our solar system at all times. And because the ancients talked about how some of the outer planets can have more power over us or influencing us than even the inner planets, we take great consideration into Chiron. Chiron, at the end of the day, is basically old wounds that we're dealing with. And to top it off, it's in conjunction with Mars, and on top of that, Chiron is going through retrograde. So what this means is that right now we would be best served in order to mitigate some of the rough aspects that are going on right now. And this is a rough aspect. I'm not going to, I believe, like you believe, Joy, in making things as positive as possible. But I don't know that we can make it positive until we look at some of its deleterious effects on us. So we want to say that the way to mitigate this is by looking at some of our old wounds and trying to be conscious of the fact that we're going to be feeling a little bit of reactivity over it, because it's in conjunction with the most reactive planet of all, which is Mars. So that's it in a nutshell. I know many people have had questions, and there's people joining the show today that want to hear a little bit more about this and how it's affecting them.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. A couple of things. We're going to take a call from 212 first, but what I wanted to say was something I forgot to mention before from Dr. Wong and, of course, from Dr. Scott and everybody who knows anything. Vitamin D is extremely essential. If you can't go out in the sun, like I really cannot, even though I live in Florida, I have a sun reaction. Very important to be out in the sun half an hour a day, and also walking. He said walking will help, of course, to balance the body. And if you cannot do that, in any case, you should be taking vitamin D. And I can't tell you how much to take. That is up to you, because I'm not allowed to diagnose. But do take vitamin D. It's very important. And chlorella. Chlorella is very important because that's solid sunshine. Chlorella, okay? And let's say I wanted to tell you about the importance of walking. Let's take a call from 212. Let's see who's out there. Hello, 212. Come on in. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, 212.
Hi. Thank you for taking the call. Can you hear me?
What's your name?
Yeah,
what's your name?
My pleasure. Karen?
Nice to meet you. Karen, thank you.
Karen, my darling, you're breaking up so much, so I don't know why.
Oh.
Karen, do you have a birthday, please?
March 29th? Do you need the year, too?
It would help
no.
if you can.
Stephen wanted to
yeah.
Okay,
1950.
I'm sorry, 1960?
50.
Okay. And Karen,
do you have a question, please?
I don't identify with it, but that's the reality. Still a kid at heart.
Karen, what is your birth time and where were you born, hon?
3:19 a.m., New York City.
Karen, do you have a question, please?
Oh, yes, since you got my information. What am I to do with the rest of my life? And is there any guidance about it looks like I will need to get another person to, rent the room here, which I've been dreading. It's a very long story. I lost my partner last year, and anyway, financial, I've been struggling, so I probably will need to get another, person in here for a while, unless there's some kind of miracle for my financial issues, how to move out of this.
So we have good news for you.
I mean, hopefully that will be money, whatever it is.
We have good news. Go ahead, Dr. Scott.
Yeah. I have to talk a little bit really quickly because Karen, right off the bat, is a triple Aries. And right now, in regard to Karen, what we were just talking about with looking back at the past, you have your North Node, which, I like to straddle the line between science as a physician and the metaphysical. The North Node is probably one of the most metaphysical, but we're realizing right now that it's actually not, because it's all about the energy of the orbits of the moon and the Earth. So without going into a deep explanation, suffice it to say, your North Node, which is in 7 degrees of Aries, is saying that right now, in order for you to move forward karmically, it's essential that you look at this incredibly important Chiron configuration where it's asking you to go back and look at some of the old wounds. But when you do that, it's essential that you don't do it with the reactivity of the typical Aries, but rather with a state of oneness and acceptance that you are a participant in the whole of all the other 8.2 billion people on the planet operating that way. So one of the other considerations,
Scott, she needs a tenant, right, Karen?
I'm sorry?
You need a tenant?
Well, it looks that way, unless some money is coming to me otherwise.
Well, the thing is, there's a little bit of a restriction on money. We look at your Venus placement in Aquarius right now, and there's heavy restriction for anybody with a lot of Aquarius in their chart, because we know Saturn has been doing a ping pong match back and forth between Aquarius and Capricorn. This is what we've been talking about for the last 3 months, Karen, is that Saturn is the planet of restriction, and it's going through Aquarius, and it just recently retrograded out of Aquarius back into Capricorn, and it's going back into Aquarius in another month. What does this mean? Well, you have to tighten your belt for the next year. I went through it when it went through my rising sign, and what it meant was, if you can do this, you will mitigate the effects, the restrictive effects that it has on you. Look at what Saturn is asking you to do. It's asking you to look at the restricted version of Aquarius. What's the restricted version of Aquarius? Well, Aquarius likes to be out there and part of the whole and humanitarian efforts. It's asking you to kind of condense and look at some of the opposite of those things and accept them with great understanding that you're a member, you're a goddess, you're a powerful goddess and a participant in the whole. And if you embrace this stuff rather than meet it with resistance, you can mitigate its deleterious and its degenerative effects on you. So Venus,
we only have 11 minutes left, Scott.
Okay.
Dr. Scott.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on a second. I believe she has the moon in Cancer. Is that correct?
No.
She has moon
Leo.
in Leo.
And Leo? Okay, because I'm doing it very generally, because at the time of your birth, it went into the sign of Leo early in the day. So her home is extremely important to her. She doesn't want tenants. So, Karen, is that the only way you can make money?
I really don't know any other way right now. I've had a lot of jobs in the past. It's a long story. I was pursuing acting. I never found any other job that I liked, and then I kind of stopped that when I got involved in being a caregiver for my grandmother for a number of years, and I couldn't do everything. And anyway, I never went back to the acting, and then I got involved with my partner and also became a caregiver for him. Long story short, it's not like I have, skills or a career to go back to. And every other job that I hated, I hated, so
okay,
kind of lost at how can I make money in this world.
Okay. The fact is that you definitely belong in show business. A lot of Aries energy and the moon in Leo. I'm sorry, Scott, what were you saying?
It doesn't matter what Karen is saying because, Socrates talked about how all prosperity begins with knowing yourself. To know yourself, that North Node is in Aries, which is very good to be in acting, but it's more important that you look at, other aspects of Aries, which are creating new experiences. One of the other aspects for generating prosperity, and I know we have to let Karen go because there's a couple of the callers I want to get to, but her Jupiter is in 26 degrees of Aquarius. Now, it might sound contradictory to what I just said about Saturn, but Jupiter is your planet of abundance. It brings you money, joy, and expansion. You having it in Aquarius means that if you undertake any kind of interaction or any kind of potential job opportunity that involves helping humanity, it will segue over into money eventually, because Jupiter is your money planet also, and it's in Aquarius. Aquarius is all humanity. Joy, we got to move on because there's a couple other callers. Karen,
okay,
thank you so much. If you want to get more information, let us know.
Sure. Yeah. What's your website, Dr. Scott?
Well, first of all, you can call right here at the office. We do readings right over FaceTime and over Zoom all the time. You can call the office at 631-375-8702, or you can just go right on the website. It's www.ask-drscott.com, and we're happy to help you a little bit more. I know it's kind of like rushed because we only have a half an hour show, but we have a couple of the callers we want to get to. Karen, good luck. Let us know if we can help you.
No, Karen is gone, but give us your phone number again, okay?
631-375-8702.
Okay, because I want to make sure people have it. Let's take another call from 970, please. Hello.
Hi.
Hello,
this is Shayla from Denver, Colorado.
Hi, Shayla.
Hey, Shayla.
Denver, Colorado. Welcome to the show.
Hi,
Shayla.
Thank
what's
you.
What's your birthday, honey?
2579.
2579?
Another beautiful Aquarius. I love it. All the Aquarians are calling in. I actually know Shayla, and Shayla is a phenomenal, unbelievable person, incredibly advanced. She's an expert in the area of Thai massage, as well as being quite an awesome astrologer herself. I actually know Shayla's chart because we did it not too long ago. She's got a sun and Mercury in Aquarius, but, Mom, you're going to love this, a moon and rising in Gemini and Gemini.
Oh, so, no.
Yeah.
Okay. We have astrology jokes, and that was one. Okay, so Shayla, do you have a question, please?
Yeah. So can you give me, as a psychic medical intuitive, I've experienced recently some health problems related to kidneys, and I'm wondering, I wouldn't have thought anything about this except for one of my clients is also having some issues with kidneys, and I was like, this is weird. Is there a connection between the planetary alignments that affect our health right now? And if you have any psychic intuition about this thing, I have this low back pain on the right side and some type of feeling of like pressure on my bladder, and I'm not sure if it's a kidney stone or what, but I'm just wondering if you have any insight.
Okay, well, okay. I'm not supposed to do this, so I'm going to turn it over. I know what you're talking about because I can feel your pain right now, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And I also know what the answer is. But because I'm not licensed to do this, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Scott, if that's okay, because he can do it intuitively, and he's covered because he's professional, and I'm only a psychic medium. Go ahead, Dr. Scott. What would you say?
First of all, you know what? As operating within the scope of what's allowable and what's not, as astrologers and as psychics, we operate officially in the entertainment field, where we're not really liable because we can just, cleverly dance around certain wording that says, if I were you, I might look at this. But in the world of clinical evaluation and clinical diagnosis, I can tell you that, obviously all those symptoms lead right to, consideration over urinary tract issues and reproductive issues and possibly kidneys, which is all directly in both, Western medicine and Eastern medicine, directly correlated to adrenal fatigue and possible urinary issues. But that's not what I want to talk about. And Joyce, I'm going to defer to you in 1 second because I want to hear your opinion about this. But she has a Saturn in Virgo. People born under Saturn in Virgo typically have to think about upper GI issues and about issues of mostly digestion as it's related to thoughts, excessive thinking, and excessive peristaltic contraction. I'm also thinking that the North Node and the Saturn in Virgo, she's North Node, Joy, in Virgo, 17 degrees, which is all about learning lessons of things related to the Vestal Virgin, which is definitely reproductive considerations as well. So I want to defer to you because I want to hear what you're intuitively picking up, if you don't mind, Joy.
Of course. Saturn in Virgo, 12 degrees, exactly what you said, Dr. Scott. And that is so significant. And what it involves is a need for cleansing of the body. If I had that issue, and believe me, I understand what you're talking about, Shayla, I would definitely have, again, I'm going to diagnose and just say, I think back to what Dr. Wong and I were discussing yesterday about the importance of Chinese or Korean medicine, about how it cleanses the body, and how much all this COVID nonsense and what you're experiencing, Shayla, has to do with cleansing of the body, and it's a detoxification process. But you can't just do it on your own. You may actually have to use herbs in conjunction with whatever you choose to do. And I know that you're involved in the health field. You're on top of all of this. You probably do massage therapy or something where you understand. But I would definitely say Chinese or Korean herbs would help to detoxify and get rid of that pain. It feels involved with the gallbladder line, the liver line is involved. All of that has to be cleansed and changed.
Absolutely.
Okay, Shelley.
Okay. Well, I'd like to talk to you more about that because I have a background in Oriental medicine, and I have I'm certified herbalist, so I'm about ready to go to the doctor for labs and stuff, and I just hate. Sorry to say this on the air, but
why would you do that, Shayla? Why would you do that? Because that's just going to be scary. I'm not saying don't have it diagnosed. Go ahead, have it diagnosed. But if you go to, we're not supposed
it's
to
just
say
fear.
Oriental anymore. Okay, fear.
Yeah, I mean it's just fear.
But,
yeah.
Look, let's do the correct old way of looking at your tongue and looking at your ankles and looking at what the meridians of the body are doing. And you're going to be checking all of that if you go the Oriental way. Oh, by the way, we're not supposed to say Oriental anymore, so I don't know what to say. But you have the idea.
Herbal supplement, recommended herbal supplements. I'm very open to hearing more about specific protocols.
Of course. If you want to go and have lab tests, if it would make you feel better, you can take the results of the test and then go to a Chinese or a Korean practitioner. That would be fine, and they would take care of that. Unfortunately, you probably can't have acupuncture now, but that's okay. So we wish you well with that, Shelley. You're going to be fine, but don't allow yourself to be frightened about any of the pain that you're experiencing, and I'm aware of the pain. I can feel it now. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's mostly gallbladder. And
okay.
So Shelley, don't worry about it.
Okay. And in the last 2 minutes of the show, we're reminding everybody that because of this outrageous alignment that is so incredibly powerful that it's so important. We haven't seen anything like this in 600 years. The big message behind all of this is to change the way we've been doing things. Those who change willingly and with self-awareness and acceptance are going to go forward much quicker, as opposed to what Joyce was saying earlier about all the people who are putting up all this resistance to what's happening in the world and experiencing great inflammatory processes and depression and all these things. We're working with all these people today. We have them coming into the center. But those of us who accept the changes willingly and openly, and especially with regard to getting a little bit of information, like I very strongly and intuitively feel gallbladder and adrenals and kidneys are involved as well. And that is all acceptance of the movement forward and allowing yourself to be reborn. That's where we're at.
You're 1,000% right. You're completely accurate. And you know what? What's so sad now is that there are so many restrictions from the AMA, as you mentioned before, and that people cannot have acupuncture, as an example, because it's just too invasive. But if Shayla could have some acupuncture along with herbs and chiropractic adjustments, she would be 100% fine. And there's no reason. So there's no reason to go the way of cutting open the body, which almost never is a good idea. Sometimes maybe, but that's pretty rare. Dr. Scott, tell us a little bit more in the remaining. We have no time. I'm sorry. We're out of time, but I wanted to say thank you.
No, we'll pick it up next week. Why don't we say goodbye, and then we'll pick up next week.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. Dr. Scott Keller. And until next time, this is Joyce Keller, .com. We love you. God bless you.